Hello viewers, it's good to see you again in our daily bulletin broadcast from Hanoi, and up next are the headlines as usual. National Assembly Standing Committee concludes third session. Foreign Ministry launches Diplomatic Blue Book 2015. Flag raising ceremony for Asian Beach Games takes place in the next city. The third section of the National Assembly Standing Committee concluded in Hanoi on September 22nd after 8.5 days of working. More details coming up next. Delivering a closing speech, National Assembly Chairwoman Nguyễn Thị Kim Ngân said all of the issues under the agenda were completed. The committee discussed the preparation for the second sitting of the 14th National Assembly, which is scheduled to open on October 22nd. It also commented on the adjustments of 3 bills, including the law on associations, the law on belief and religion, and the law on asset auction. The committee's members touched upon 10 draft laws and 1 draft resolution that will be submitted to the 14th National Assembly in its second section, including the law on water resources and the law on foreign trade management, among others. They gave opinions on the committee's draft resolution on regulations on the making, verification and submission of state budget estimates, central budget allocation plans and state budget balance to the National Assembly for approval. National Assembly Vice Chairwoman Tòng Thị Phóng said Vietnam and Denmark should maintain cooperation in legislative affairs and policy making in order to tighten the relations between the two legislative bodies and their offices. Phóng made the suggestion at her reception in Hanoi on September 22nd for a delegation from the Danish Parliament led by Member of Parliament Eva Kjer Hansen. She expressed her hope that the two parliaments will continue their delegation exchanges as well as close coordination at inter-parliamentary forums which they are members. Vietnam wishes to continue receiving support from the Danish government and parliament in responding to climate change and boosting green growth, she said. Hansen confirmed that her country is willing to collaborate with Vietnam in the fields it concerns, such as renewable energy, green growth and climate change response. She said she hopes the two countries will intensify the sharing of experience between their parliamentarians. The Vietnam-Russia Intergovernmental Committee for Economic, Commercial and Scientific Technological Cooperation convened its 19th session in St. Petersburg on September 21st. Deputy Prime Minister Trịnh Đình Dũng and his Russian counterpart Igor Shuvalov co-chaired the event. Participants heard that two wages reached $1.56 billion in the first 7 months of 2016, a yearly increase of 30%. By June 2016, Russia had 113 direct investment projects in Vietnam, with a total capital of $1.1 billion, while Vietnam ran 20 investment projects worth $2.93 billion in Russia. At the session, the two sides agreed to boost cooperation among localities and establish industrial parks and joint manufacturing ventures in Russian localities. They also plan to boost collaboration in shipbuilding, auto assembling and manufacturing, mining equipment production, as well as building farms and light industrial zones in Russia, and develop tourism in Vietnam. The officials discussed the implementation of the free trade agreement between Vietnam and the Eurasian Economic Union, affirming that the two countries' governments will support key cooperative projects. They also debated measures to promote cooperation in energy, oil mining, banking, information communication, science technology, and education training. Vietnam and Russia agreed to increase the imports of farm produce from their respective markets and push ahead with negotiations on food safety.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has launched Vietnam's Diplomatic Blue Book 2015, which highlights the country's foreign policies and outstanding achievements of the diplomatic sector last year. The book, the first of its kind in Vietnam, reviews Vietnam's external affairs in the past 5 years, while spotlighting new points of the external guidelines approved at the 12th National Party Congress. It comprises of 6 chapters, with one dedicating to an overview of the regional and world situations in 2015 and Vietnam's stances, while the country's outstanding bilateral diplomatic activities in 2015 and in the past 5 years are presented in the second chapter. It also deals with Vietnam's multilateral diplomatic policy and the role of diplomacy in serving national development and defense, along with the parties and National Assembly's external affairs and people-to-people diplomacy. The book provides detailed analysis of the 7 new features in the external relation policy of the 12th Party Congress. The Foreign Ministry hosted a press conference in Hanoi on September 22nd. We have more in the following report. Related to the Japanese Defense Minister's announcement that Japan will step up its joint patrols with the U.S. in the East Sea, Foreign Ministry's spokesperson Lê Hải Bình emphasized Vietnam's consistent stance that all activities of concerned parties should contribute to peace, stability, and cooperation in the East Sea. Regarding the recent joint drills conducted by China and Russia, Bình said, Vietnam holds that all activities in the East Sea, including military ones, should observe international law. While being asked about Vietnam's reaction to Taiwan's discreet construction of several facilities on Ba Binh Island of Vietnam's Trường Sa archipelago to serve its military purposes, Bình said competent Vietnamese agencies are verifying the information. He said Vietnam has repeatedly affirmed its sovereignty over Trường Sa, known as Spratly archipelago. Therefore, Taiwan's occupation and reclamation in the area are illegal and seriously violate Vietnam's sovereignty, and Vietnam vehemently opposes such actions, he said. Industry insiders said several investors are ready to invest in solar electricity projects in Vietnam, but there is a shortage of policies on power tariffs for renewable energy, particularly solar electricity.
Participants at a conference on developing solar electricity held in Hanoi on September 21st noted that investors have looked to Central Ninh Thuận and Binh Thuận provinces, which have a number of solar and wind power projects, and also wish to expand to Quảng Ngãi, Thừa Thiên Huế, Hà Tĩnh, Hậu Giang, and Bạc Liêu. However, they said the biggest challenge for the sector's development is price mechanism. The solar electricity price should be calculated to ensure suitable profits for investors. Statistics from the Vietnam Clean Energy Association showed that the country has about 30 local and foreign investors with solar projects of 20 megawatt to over 300 megawatt. Several investors from the Republic of Korea, France, and India had registered to invest in some central provinces. The number of local investors starting investment in clean energies has also risen. Vietnam has potential for solar energy as it has solar irradiance of 4.3 kilowatt-hour per meter and averages 2,000 hours of sunlight each year. However, investors have faced challenges when investing in the sector as policies on clean energies, especially solar energy, have not been synchronous. Resources for clean energies have been limited and state management on the sector has been poor. In addition, management agencies lack knowledge on solar energy, making them unqualified to assess the projects. Financial institutions and banks also struggle to make credit assessments for solar power projects. As such, experts suggest that the government create a technical criteria relating to solar energy to serve as a foundation for project assessment.
The Vietnam Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, Agribank, has received the Operational Excellence Awards 2015 from Wells Fargo, the third largest wholesale bank in the U.S., for improving its payment services.
Since 2012, Agribank has received several awards in international payment quality from the U.S. bank, which is also the world's 14th largest bank, including Best International Payment Quality Award in 2014 and 2015. The bank has received awards from Standard Chartered Bank and Bank of New York Mellon in 2015. Agribank is among the biggest banks in Vietnam in terms of fund resources, assets, staff, operating network, and customer base. By the end of 2015, Agribank's assets totaled $833 trillion, equivalent to $37.5 billion, and its total outstanding loans were worth nearly $615 trillion, about $27.7 billion. The bank has a staff of 40,000 people across 2,300 branches and transaction offices and 1,000 correspondent banks in 100 countries and territories.
A program with the theme of Hanoi, the Cradle of Cultural Heritage, has been held in Paris, France, in an effort to introduce Hanoi's and Vietnam's cultural essence, as well as recent tourism policies.
The event began with a screening of a video featuring the beauty of Vietnam and its people, followed by performances of Quan Ho folk singing and traditional musical instruments. Speaking at the opening ceremony, Vietnamese ambassador to France Nguyễn Ngọc Sơn highlighted the position and importance of the tourism sector in Vietnam's economy. The sector attracted 8 million tourists in 2015 and targets to welcome 11 million by 2020, making up 7% of the country's gross domestic product. He said Vietnam's efforts in recent years, including the 15-day visa exemption policy and the use of a 350 plan for flights from Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City to Paris, made it more convenient for tourists to visit Vietnam. Director of the Hanoi Department of Tourism, Do Dinh Ho said cultural tourism is typical product of the capital city's tourism sector thanks to Hanoi's rich history, 5,820 global, national and city-level relic sites.
France ranks fourth among markets with the largest number of visitors to Hanoi, just behind Asian countries. We have attached importance to the French and European markets.
With advantages in natural landscapes, rich culture, local people's hospitality, and a diversity of ethnic groups, Vietnam promises to be a destination of the future in the global tourism picture. During the event, Vietnamese and French travel companies discussed cooperation to boost the number of tourists to each other country.
A flag-raising ceremony for the Asian Beach Games took place in the central city of Da Nang on September 22nd. Let's take a look. Nearly 4,500 coaches and athletes from 42 countries and territories will participate in the Games that runs from September 24th to October 3rd. Athletes will vie for 172 sets of medals in 14 categories. The event's mascot features a salagan, a typical bird of the central coast of Vietnam, while the logo is designed to represent sand and waves in the shape of young, healthy and dynamic athletes playing sports with the Olympic Council of Asia's symbol inside. The Games were initiated by the Olympic Council of Asia and held for the first time in Indonesia in 2008. And that has come to the end of our program. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.